Hello everyone, my name is Zach and welcome to On Cashflow, where I help you become a master of your own cash flow. Now let's get started. Here are some really important tasks that you need to take care of. Number one is you need to start the Roth IRA 5-year clock. You need to contribute to a Roth IRA so that it is at least 5 years old. Basically, what you have to do in order to start the 5-year clock is you need to contribute any amount of money to a Roth IRA at any time, and then your 5-year clock has started. Once you have contributed any amount of money to a Roth IRA, the 5-year clock has started and you never have to meet this 5-year clock again. So if you're 50 years old and you've never contributed to a Roth IRA, you need to contribute to one and then that 5-year clock starts. If you're 20 years old and the same thing applies, then 5 years starts. So once you meet this, you never have to meet it again. It's just a really weird rule, but you can see right here, right from the horse's mouth, the IRS, it says part of a qualified distribution from a Roth IRA, no matter what, it is made after the 5-year period beginning with the first tax year for which a contribution was made to a Roth IRA set up for your benefit. So that is the very first requirement for it to be a qualified distribution. And trust me, you want it to be a qualified distribution. So no matter what age you are, if you've never contributed to a Roth IRA, get that 5-year clock rolling. Next up at number 2, you need to cancel your PMI, also known as your private mortgage insurance. If you're eligible, then you should definitely cancel it and make sure it's canceled because you don't want to be paying that extra money if you don't have to. So usually you have to get PMI if you have a conventional mortgage and you put less than 20% down. Now, a way that you can basically cancel your PMI is you can reach more than 20% equity. And then if you do that, then you might have to get it reappraised or, get the balance looked at again. Or it should be automatically canceled once you reach 78% of your principal balance on your mortgage. So right here, these screenshots right here were taken from either Freddie or Fannie Mac. I don't remember which one off the top of my head, but basically it tells you right here that your servicer must automatically terminate your PMI on the date when your principal balance is scheduled to reach 78% of the original value of your home. So that's based on when you buy your home and how much your mortgage is based on that. Or you can request it to be canceled once your balance is 80% of the home's value. So right here it says you can ask to cancel PMI ahead of the scheduled date if you have made additional payments that reduce the principal balance of your mortgage to 80% of the original value of your home. But not only that, if your equity has increased because the value of your home has increased, or general values of homes have increased, and you think that you have more than 20% equity in the home, then you can also have requested to have it taken off of there. And that might require like a reappraisal or something like that. But it could very well be worth it. Next up at number 3, you really need to make sure that your heirs are set up for success. There are many different things that you can do in order to make this happen, but some of the simplest and easiest ones that all of us can do is make sure if you have someone that has a rightful claim to it, make sure they're a joint owner on the account. So I do this with as many accounts as I can with my spouse. I make sure that she's a joint owner because pretty much the simplest. And then if I can't make her a joint owner, well, the next easiest thing that you can do is make sure that you have all your beneficiaries set up, right? All you need is their name and information. And sometimes they ask you for their social security number as well. So you might have to get that. But then you can add people as your beneficiaries. Very, very easy to do. And similar to that is PODs. Payment upon death. I think that's what it stands for. So it's very similar to beneficiaries, usually the same thing, except for I think it's usually used with savings accounts or something like that. So make sure that you have all of those set up with your financial accounts. That avoids probate for those accounts, and it makes it very easy for you to pass on those assets in your untimely death or timely death, whatever they call it. Next up at number 4 is you need to be adjusting your tax withholding. If you receive an unusually large amount of a tax refund, then it might mean that you're overpaying into taxes every single year. And the easiest way for you to try to avoid that is by just adjusting your W-4. The IRS luckily gives us a nice little calculator at irs.gov/W4 app. And on there, you can enter in your information and they can tell you how much you should be putting on your W-4. And you would submit this through your employer. So if you think that you can withhold less and not get in trouble for it, then you should definitely be doing it. Next up at number 5, when was the last time you did this? You need to be getting new insurance quotes because you may be surprised at the cost of insurance between different providers. The one that you currently have, someone else that might want your business, or someone else that might be incredibly expensive and you're like, well, never mind, I'm not going with them. You may be surprised by the different range of offers that you get for different types of insurance. You should also take the time to reevaluate the coverage types that you have. Do you really need this much insurance for your vehicle, for example? Or, hey, actually my house increased in value by this much. Actually, I might need more insurance for the value of my home. You should definitely be reevaluating your insurance, and you should definitely be getting new quotes at least once annually. When was the last time you did that? Here's another one at number 6. You need to be rebalancing your portfolio. Do you know what your asset allocation is? And do you know what it needs to be? Every investor should have an idea of what they want their asset allocation to be. Now, when you go to calculate your net worth and you go to calculate your asset allocation, it doesn't need to be perfect to the exact percentage of what your target asset allocation should be, but it should be within a general range of that. And so if you haven't been paying attention, some of your assets might have gone up a lot more than others, some might have gone down, and so your asset allocation may be out of whack. So you definitely need to check that and rebalance your portfolio if it's necessary. Next up at number 7, another thing you need to look at is, do you have an opportunity in your portfolio for tax loss or tax gain harvesting? For tax gain harvesting, you might be able to harvest some gains at 0%. So look at this right here, the capital gains tax brackets. I'm going to look at married filing jointly because that's what I fall under. And basically what this is telling me is that if my income is under this second bracket, which is $94,050, and I can realize tax gains within, like under that taxable bracket, then I can realize them at 0% here. If my income is under that $94,000, then even with, of course, those tax gains harvested, then I will pay 0% on those gains. And if you're in this situation, it might make sense for you to do it as well. Tax loss harvesting, on the other hand, is when you sell off your investments and you realize a loss. This is really important because you want to avoid doing a wash sale rule, which is basically where you try to realize a tax loss and rebuy the same assets. So you don't want to do that. So you can do that with tax gain harvesting. There's no wash sale rule when it comes to tax gain harvesting because you're telling the government to tax you. But when you're telling the government that you don't want to be taxed by taking a loss, you could be subject to the wash sale rule. So you can't just sell something off at a loss and then rebuy it immediately back. So definitely keep that in mind. But if you have some losers in your portfolio that you're kind of ready to get rid of and reallocate to index funds like you should be doing, then maybe you want to do some tax loss harvesting. And there is a small amount that you can tax loss harvest, and it can offset some of your regular income as well, up to a certain limit every single year. And you can also carry that forward. Number 8 here is you should be checking your real credit report. Now, it's great, the invention of all these other websites and stuff where they offer you credit monitoring for free. For example, I bank with Chase, and Chase has their own little credit monitoring. A lot of other companies have their own little credit monitoring. That's great and all. It's good to look at that every once in a while. However, if you want to check your real credit report, there's only one real way you should be doing it, and that is annualcreditreport.com. You can go and look at all the 3 bureaus. I can never say that word. You can look at all of them for free. So this is a screenshot from the website. They like to advertise the only source for your free credit reports authorized by federal law. Yeah, so that's true. So you can go ahead and look at your real credit report. You can request through that website for all the 3 big credit, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You can go through all of them and get your real credit report for free every single year. Basically, I think once per year at least. If you try like one different one every 4 months or so, that should be the sweet spot. Last but certainly not least, one thing you need to go and look through is how many subscriptions do you have, and you should go and try to ghost cancel them. Now, what this means is that when you go to cancel a subscription, many of them will give you lower prices when you go to cancel to try to keep you there, try to keep you locked in to paying that monthly fee. So you might be paying a $9.99 monthly fee, but then you go to cancel that and they might say, hey, wait, how about you stay for $4.99 per month? And if that subscription is worth it for you, then maybe you should stay at $4.99 per month. But even if you don't intend on canceling it, ghost canceling is where you go to pretend to cancel it and then you try to get those lower prices. And it happens many, many times out of 10. So make sure you definitely at least try that. But what you might actually be better off by doing is actually canceling them because that gets you 100% off. Take a look at your subscriptions and see if you really need them and see if you can get a lower price. It's a very smart thing to do, and it only takes a few minutes. And you know what else is very smart to do and only takes a few minutes? Going to oncashflow.com/resources, because that is my ultimate page where I have many recommendations for some affiliates that I've teamed up with for things that I actually use. You can use Empower, for example, to track your net worth. You can use Bolden, for example, to build a retirement plan, and many, many others on there. So go to oncashflow.com/resources if you're interested in upping your financial game, because those are the resources that I personally use, and I will only put them on there if I actually use them. And if you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure you hit the like button, okay? Because it really does help out the channel, and I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from oncashflow.com, and I hope to see you next time.